You brush your teeth for 20 minutes?
See, like 28.
Wait, you don't?
X-Men, the animated series, had a ton of X-Men.
X-Men, the animated series, was very colorful.
X-Men, the animated series, is the quintessential Saturday morning cartoon.
Ah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast in which we watch the first episode of a podcast, of a series, that is, so that you don't have to. With us, as always, is Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, co-CEO, musician, comedian, hilarity.
Maybe someday we'll watch the first of podcasts.
Yeah, we can watch the first of this podcast.
Sure.
And review it.
That'd be meta.
Yeah, it's a nice end of the year thing. With us today is a very special guest, meteorologist Katie. Hello.
Hey! Oh, thank you guys so much for having me on.
How's the weather there?
Horribly boring. For a week straight, it was nothing but sunny and 40. And by that Friday, I went on a rant on air. Like, I don't know how to say sunny anymore. So finally we have some clouds, but that's about it.
You should say it like this. Sunny.
It's gonna be sunny.
So everybody, not to give any spoilers for the interview later, but as you might have guessed, meteorologist Katie is a butcher. My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are reviewing X-Men, the animated series out of 1990, I think, right?
1990 something.
Yeah, 1992, I think is what it said. Episode 1, Night of the Sentinels, Part 1. Very visible and viewable and streamable on Disney Plus, who's doing really well, shockingly. Disney Plus is blowing up right now, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
buy some stock. I just did. Yeah.
Yeah, I got some too, and it's doing well.
Yeah.
Let's just say, keep watching that Disney Plus, everybody. And with those new announcements they made recently, wowie. So let's talk about this show. Before we talk about it, first things first, everybody, if you'd like us to review a show, please be sure to say WTF, what's happening, or WTF 227, or WTF amen, or WTF good times. That means watch the first. Good times, of course.
Don't forget to leave us a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and when you're subscribing, just go ahead and punch that bell icon
like
for
Sabretooth
notifications. Yeah.
Teach it a lesson. So we're going to talk about the show, but before we do, the first thing we like to really get knee deep into is our predictions. Michael and I have known each other for quite a few moons, and quite a few moons.
Many moons.
Yeah. And so we like to predict what the other person will think of this show. Katie, feel free to also predict or abstain since you've known us for many less moons.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, I'm going to guess that you like this show, but that it's not as good as you thought or hoped. Because you're not a big superhero guy. You don't really like superhero stuff. I'm gonna say that you're pretty mediocre on it, actually, because you're not a big superhero guy. Katie, I'm gonna guess that you somewhere between loved it and loved it.
All right. Yeah.
What are
my
your guesses?
predictions? I should have a crystal ball for this.
Yeah.
My prediction is that Ryan loved this show, and he was on the edge of his seat the whole time. And I think that Katie also liked it.
Am I really that easy to read?
I think we're finding out right now. Katie, do you want to guess what we thought of it?
I think you both enjoyed it, but not as much as when you were younger. Or if you had seen it when you were younger.
Well, I did watch it when I was younger, earlier this morning. So, thank you.
Boom.
So now, everybody in the comment section and the chat, please make your tabulations now. Make your votes now. Do you think Ryan liked it or hated it? Do you think Michael liked it or hated it? What do you think about Katie? Maybe she liked it or hated it. You guys... You can figure it out.
Use your X-Men psychic powers, your mutant powers to predict.
Right.
Is there an X-Man that sees into the future?
Professor Xavier.
I mean, besides him, obviously.
Jean Grey, kind of. Did Cable Box? I feel like Cable Box did. His name's Cable. But I think Cable Box, he was in the future, but I don't know if he saw. Guys, let us know which X-Men or X-Men villain can see into the future.
Or which one's your favorite, too. Tell us who your favorite X-Man is.
Oof, that is a good question. That's the good stuff. So while you guys make all your predictions, Michael will tell us what this show is about.
A team of mutant superheroes fight for justice and human acceptance in the Marvel Comics universe. In this episode, a young teenager has been rejecting her mutant powers ever since she discovered them. But when giant robots track her down, it's up to the X-Men to save her.
I like that it said a young teenager.
Yeah.
Just in case you were wondering what kind of teenager it was, it's a young one.
13 or 14 is on the young end of
I think
teens.
she's 16. I think
I was gonna say, she looks like she could be in her 20s the way they animated her.
Yep. So now we like to go into something that we like to call what we expected versus what we got. So now you can see that we're really getting into it. This is when people start fighting. That's what happens. Michael, before you watch this show, what did you expect?
So I had never seen this show, by the way, when I was younger.
Because Mike hates
this
superhero
came out,
stuff.
I guess, when I was probably in like 8th grade or like a freshman in high school. I'm actually not really a big superhero guy, not big on superhero stuff. Especially, I mean, I've seen all the Marvel stuff, mostly because my wife and I, we watched the Guardians of the Galaxy because Chris Pratt, and then also just the music, and it seemed like a fun movie, so we watched it. But then we got all into it, and then we watched all of the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then,
what a change!
And then also for X-Men, I think I've seen every X-Men movie simply because they would usually come out around Ryan's birthday, and then every year we would always go out to the movies for Ryan's birthday and watch an X-Men movie. It was like a little tradition for us for a little while they were making these movies.
I think it was 2 movies. But yeah.
I can remember at least 3 or 4, actually. Maybe.
That was probably other friends you went to go see it with.
Okay,
your
whatever.
Portland friends, Michael. He lives in Portland nowadays.
This is back when we lived in San Jose, and then in LA too. Yeah.
Wow.
Like the old school X-Men movies, and then the newer ones when they started coming out, we saw those too. So.
And you hated those.
So what I expected from this was, first of all, I was like, oh my God, an old 1990s, another old cartoon that Ryan wants to watch. Oh God, we're gonna have to watch another terrible cartoon from the 90s. On
so
Disney Plus.
You were or were not looking forward to it?
I was not really looking forward to watching this.
Well, meteorologist Katie.
Yes.
What did you expect before you saw it? I mean, I don't know if you'd seen it before, if you like X-Men or superhero movies. Did you see that it was in the 90s and thought, oh, this can be terrible? What did you expect?
Well, see, I never have gotten into X-Men. I've followed the Marvel Cinematic Universe and had a few comics with that, but never delved into X-Men. And when this show premiered, I was -4 years old because I wasn't born until 1996. So initially, when I first saw the date that it was made, I was like, ooh, this is going to be that old style, nostalgia, 90s baby sort of thing. So that got me looking forward to it, just simply because of the older animation style. I think it just, I don't know, it reminds me of the old days when you watch a show in class and you just feel good about life. That's what I got from seeing this show for the first time.
I don't remember ever feeling good about life in class. Ugh.
I was a nerd, so...
Sounds like it. Well, I'll tell you what I expected. I had seen certainly many episodes. I didn't recognize this one, so I don't know if I saw it, because when shows up until 10 years ago, like if a show passed, that's it. That's it. It's like it never happened. There's no Netflix. It never happened. So if you missed the show, so I caught a bunch of them, and I liked them because I was definitely a comic book kid that liked, and X-Men were my favorite people because there was mutants. It was a good story about mutants. It was cool. It was just a really good story, and I like superhero stuff. And who wasn't a kid wishing they had superpowers? Come on.
I was a kid once.
You wish you
You
had
just
superpowers.
came out like that.
So I expected to enjoy it, and didn't put a lot of pressure on it. I was like, I'm probably going to like it. I might recognize the episode. I may not, but I'm probably going to like it. But that's what we expected. What did you get, Michael?
Oh boy.
Shit.
What I got was actually a pretty good cartoon.
And that's what I'm trying to explain to y'all. That's what I've been trying to teach you.
It was pretty enjoyable, and it kind of I had a hard time taking notes because I was so into it. I was like, man, this is pretty damn cool. And like the animation, I mean, I guess it looked a lot like the comic book, I think, right? Like, I remember having, when I was like in middle school and like maybe like early high school, I remember having like trading cards of X-Men. And I didn't like collect them all, but I remember having a couple, and it looked like the same kind of artwork. So that kind of made me a little nostalgic. I was like, hey, that's like, I remember that artwork from when I was a kid. And my big comic book that I like to collect was Ghost Rider. Which is not an X-Men, but it's still the same Marvel universe of comic books. And my brother really liked Wolverine,
right?
And I remember he had one. I read this one a couple times. It was Wolverine versus whatever, the Beastmaster, whatever, the guy behind you.
Sabretooth. Yeah, those guys are rivals. And that's another cool thing about this is they have rivalries. Wolverine has rivals. And you mentioned two of my three favorite superheroes when I was a kid: Wolverine, Ghost Rider, and Silver Surfer. Those were the three I really liked. Well, Katie, what did you get?
I got that classic nostalgia feeling that I was hoping for, because I actually watched it. I got up early on a Saturday morning and watched it.
Yes.
I had my bowl of cereal just cross-legged on the ground, PJs and everything, and it felt so good. Like, who's watching this right now, who wants to give this show a shot, do it on a Saturday morning when you have nothing else to do, because it just adds to the experience. I was grinning. I had to go back and watch it, like, I think it was 3 times, because I just spent the entire time just watching the episode for the sheer enjoyment of it.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Is that your I told you so?
I give the gift of happiness, you guys.
Oh,
it's a holiday miracle that you guys were given this gift to just be happy, to have nostalgia. Actually, what I got, I didn't really like it, to be honest. What? I didn't. No, I'm just kidding. It was great, of course. It's cool.
You can't hype this all up and then tear it all down.
It was cool, and like for the reasons Michael said, which was that it was like seeing your old comic books and trading cards brought to life. You're like,
come to life.
I remember Sabretooth. I remember Wolverine. I remember these guys when I was a kid. When you're a kid, you're just kind of like, oh, these are cool images, and I bet they can fight really well. And oh, this guy, Wolverine can kick butt, and this guy and Professor X can do all this stuff. And then to watch them, it's almost like a greatest hits of childhood. All your favorite guys are together. So I enjoyed it. I expected to enjoy it. I maybe enjoyed it more than I thought. Because
I definitely did.
Yeah.
Because, I expected I would like it, but a lot of times when you watch an old cartoon or an old show that you thought was really cool when you were a kid, you watch it again and you're like, oh, I wish I had never ruined my memory of it. It's not as good as I thought. But no, this holds the test of time. It's an animated comic book.
Well, and so like I guess I didn't really know much about the X-Men when I was younger. I just thought that, oh, they're superheroes. I didn't know anything about the mutant stuff, and until I saw the movies, obviously on Ryan's birthday, many years ago. And so that was my kind of introduction to the whole mutant X-Men story. But then I didn't know that yeah, I guess I should have assumed that was part of the comic book, and that it was part of the animated series back in the 90s. But that, to me, it was cool to like learn more about that world, and learn more about, like, so some of these guys, like Gambit, you don't see him really much at all, I don't think, in
great.
the X-Men movies, right?
Yeah, so speaking of the movies, I feel like this is a better representation of X-Men than the movies are. I feel like this cartoon represents what the X-Men should be, are, and were better than the Sony or Fox or whatever movies that came out with all the X-Men. Well, I mean, some were good, some were okay, but this is a better representation. Everybody that's listening in and or watching, let us know, do you think the 90s cartoon, the animated series of the X-Men, is a better representation of the X-Men comic series than the movies? Or do you think that the movies are a better representation? Because I say pretty solidly it's this. What do you think, Katie?
That's where I feel like I'm lucky, having not seen either of them before now. Like, I'd seen trailers, I'd seen snippets of the movies, and it kind of looked dystopian to me. And anyone who knows my personality, dystopian is not a part of that.
You are topian.
Oh, exactly. I am on cloud 9 and I will never come down. But I love that when I was little, with the cartoons and with the superheroes, it was all colorful and bright. And I turned on the show and it is so bright, and it matched the image I had in my head of X-Men from hearing people talk about it when I was little. And it completely matched up. Just clicked way better. I'm going to have to try the movies, but for me, I think this is going to be my X-Men experience.
Well, I mean, Patrick Stewart as Professor Xavier, I mean, that
was so perfect.
You can't really
beat that.
Top that. I mean, so it's like watching this, and I'm like watching Professor Xavier roll around, and I'm like, that's not Patrick Stewart's voice.
Like, I'm Patrick Stewart, everybody.
Someone should dub over it.
I will say, though, when the X-Men movies did come out and they announced Patrick Stewart was playing Professor Xavier, I was like, wow, my favorite comic book series, my favorite crew, and my favorite dude is playing the role that he was born to play besides Picard. I was like, if they picked anybody other than him, it would have been a step down. So they do get major kudos for that. This Professor Xavier kind of seems like a pinhead, but whatever. Doesn't matter.
Such a 90s term, too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
hey, pinhead. You
so
dweeb.
Let's go ahead and just get into the elephant in the room. Guys, this is the big question of the day. And everybody, please feel free to join in and let us know in the chat and in the comment section, who is or are your favorite X-Men? Let's say 3. Who are your 3 favorites on this show so far? Here are the choices.
I'm glad you're listing them, because I was like pulling at straws for names.
Well,
I think I know 2 of them.
Well, the reason I listed that I can list them is because in true 90s style cartoon, they give you the story of what it's about and the characters in the theme song. First of all, the theme song is Rocket. Da 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 da. I'm like, yeah, rock and roll, dude, you're rad. And and it
90s
introduces
rock too.
It introduces the characters in the theme song. It gives you all their names and shows you their special abilities for like 3 seconds. So you just soak it in like a little young sponge. You just go like, oh, laser face, and oh, he goes, woo, and then this guy throws stuff and you get it. You're like, this is awesome. They all have special powers.
That's the show.
Got all their names. So here were the characters: Cyclops, Wolverine, Rogue, Storm, Beast, Gambit, Jubilee, Jean Grey, and Professor Xavier. That's 9. Now, there was a
9.
10th one, Morph, but he's not in the intro, so we know what that means.
No, he's in the show, though, for sure.
He's in the show. Yeah.
He was a dweeb.
Yeah. So out of those 10, including Morph, he's the only one that wasn't in it. Obviously, Beast also was not. My green screen's dying. Who's your favorite? Actually, here, I'll fix that.
Well, while Ryan's fixing that, I'll just say that my favorite was... Hopefully, I guess he couldn't hear it while he was away.
No.
I said it already. Sorry.
It was probably Beast, if I know
Yeah, it
you.
was Beast.
Yes, when I was watching, I was like, Mike's gonna like Beast because he's a poet, he's a philosopher, he's the smart guy.
Yeah, Beast it is. He's the cool Beast guy. Yeah, he was probably my favorite in the movies too.
Cool. Do you had a couple other favorites, number 2s and 3s?
I guess Storm. Storm was Storm was all right in the movies, but she was awesome in the cartoon. I don't know if I could pick a third. I mean, Cyclops seemed like way more powerful than in the movies. I mean, in the movies he's got that power, but I mean, in this he was like that power like blew up that robot that nobody else could blow up.
Yeah, in the movies they made him kind of a tool.
Yeah,
tool bag. He was always like whining or crying.
Yeah.
Gene. Shut up. This is your leader. Give me a break. Katie, do you have a 1 or 2 or 3 favorites?
I do. I'd say from 3 to 1, I would go Beast. And then Gambit, just because of that Southern charm. And then Storm, of course, I'm obligated to go with Storm. And she's really cool, and I'm very jealous of her powers. Like,
good point. You're obviously you got to be Storm.
Oh my gosh, because I didn't know what their superpowers were, and then I saw there's lightning, there's mist, there's clouds. This is me.
Yeah, but you talk in regular sentences. She talks like a statue that was just born, and I don't know. It was weird. That kind of put me off a little bit. I'm like, why is she talking like this? What are you guys doing to this poor lady? Just let her be regular.
She holds the power of the world.
Yeah, but it's okay. They all have character traits, and they did a really good job of distinguishing the different characters immediately. You get it, even the guy Morph that's like or whatever, and like you get it. They all have very different personalities. There are 10 people with very different personalities immediately, and you can hang on to them and you can describe them. That's brilliant. That's very well done. My 3 favorites, let me look at the list here. By the way, you mentioned Southern Charm, but you didn't mention Jean Grey. Sorry, Rogue, you're right, who said, "You're as nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs, sugar." So
great.
So I would say that my 3 favorites were, because I'll just go by were, because they're basically the same, Wolverine, Rogue, and Gambit. Because Gambit, had the Cajun French style, so got to give a little wink to the Frenchie.
Les éléments roulés.
Those were the ones for me. My crew would beat up your crew, Michael.
But I got Beast, though.
Yeah, but you only got 2 guys in yours.
And Storm.
So, but that's also what makes it so cool of having a 9-person or 10-person crew with all these special powers, is that you can make teams and crews, and you can be like, these 3 will go off in this mission and do that, like Storm, we will need your mastery of lightning, and we'll need Cyclops with your laser face and all this kind of stuff. And then these guys, you got to go on this, it's like really cool, because for different missions, you can have different people going. I mean, possibilities are endless. It's a beautiful thing. Everything should be like comic books, basically, I guess.
I think my team works out pretty well, actually, because you got Gambit, he knows the southern terrain. Then you got the Beast, professor, scientist, can do some research. And then Storm can cause the storms. We're just going on a storm chase down Louisiana. Boom, there's the mission. There's an episode.
That's true. While the rest of the crew stays back and has a cool mission.
Oh. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Burn.
And then
Sick
look at
burn.
in the intro, you can see they also say, hey, if you don't like these characters, don't worry. Look at all of these cool bad guys that you will be meeting at some point this season. Look at all these guys. That's Juggernaut. That's, I don't know, that guy looks like Apache Chief.
Some
Warpath.
guy.
I think his name was Warpath. This guy, I don't know.
Mastermind.
This guy was like Pyro, maybe.
Fire guy.
Mystique, which was in the X-Men movie.
Yeah.
Sabretooth, one of
Sabretooth.
everybody's favorite. Can't remember this guy's name, though. Who is this guy? Guy's in the...
Silver Knight. Silver
No.
Looks like
It's
someone
like-
had a Naruto.
White Knight.
Iceman or something. Everybody in the chat and comments, let us know who this guy is. 'cause
Tell
I
us
remember
what
him.
big idiots we are. Obviously, Magneto, too, you forgot to point out, who's flying above
yeah.
them all.
There he is.
And I look at how bright those colors are.
Yes.
Like, you have ADHD, you're still looking at the screen because, oh, look at that. Just
That's
grabs
true.
your attention.
Because later on, everything got so dark. You know, the X-Men movies, all
Yeah.
movies in the 2000s, even cartoons,
Yeah.
everything started just getting dark. Whereas back then, it was just like colorful, different characters with extreme personalities.
Ryan's a curmudgeon now. These kids with their dark movies.
Well, I'm just pointing out that this is colorful. And
Oh yeah,
this-
the X-Men movies were like all dark. Like they all wore the same color uniform.
who's the curmudgeon now?
You still?
Oh, yeah, me. So let's talk about the episode. You know, we talked about X-Men and the characters. What do you think of the actual writing of the story? Were you just too distracted with the characters and the colors to pay attention, or was the story good enough to keep your attention?
Oh, goodness.
I think for me, I was very distracted by the characters and the colors, but but the story wasn't bad either. I mean, it's obviously it's a children's cartoon, so you have to take that into account. It's not going to be Shakespeare or anything like that. Although the Beast, I forget what his line was, but he quoted some poetry or something like that, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, it's cool to slip that kind of stuff in and then educate kids without them knowing it. So, but yeah, I guess the whole storyline itself was pretty good. There's like an outsider who gets introduced to the X-Men world because she finds out that she's a mutant. She has these mutant powers, Jubilee. Oh, you didn't mention Jubilee, Ryan, also.
Well, she. I'm pretty sure I mentioned her as the group in the group of 9 or 10.
But
yeah.
what are her powers anyway? She just can destroy electronics or
Fireworks.
something?
Basically,
or?
like, yeah, fireworks. Yeah, like the cue was the sound. It sounded like, 4th of July sounds, right?
Mm.
So her powers are pretty weak, but she's a kid, so maybe they'll get more powerful as she gets older, or maybe she'll
Well,
just
she
have
can-
weak powers.
She can practice and train up with the X-Men, but I liked how they have this person who is not really a part of the X-Men, and she gets brought into it, and as the audience, we get brought along with her.
Right.
So that's kind of our introduction to this, so that she can say, "Wait, who are you? Oh, I'm Beast. Oh, I'm Professor Xavier." And so she meets everyone, and we can meet them at the same time. So that's always a pretty good convention. And then I liked some of the I guess the danger room. Like at first I just thought it was like, oh, don't go in there. That room is danger. But the danger room is actually kind of like a holodeck where you can like call up simulations to actually train yourself. So
And there was a funny joke in there that I don't know if you guys caught, but when Gambit gets tackled by Wolverine says, "C'est oncle."
Yeah. Yeah.
Means uncle in French. So I thought that was, that got me. Also, by the way, if you notice, when they had Jubilee's name and they were like looking up her file, it says she was 5 feet and 90 pounds.
Mhm.
I literally yelled at the TV, bull crap.
Yeah.
I looked at all of their analyses. I think it was Storm. She was like 5'6",
5'10"
100, yeah, something like that, with 110 pounds or something. I went, oh, heck no. The thighs, no. You got them
Plus,
buxom. That
they're-
adds on about 20 pounds.
Plus, they're pretty muscular, and muscle
Yeah.
weighs more than fat. So
Very
yeah,
muscular, yeah. Everyone
Maybe-
was super muscular, and like the girls were like super svelte and tight.
Yeah, everybody's buff when you're a mutant.
Yeah.
You know, you're because you got all these muscles that are raging, like He-Man
or Raging Cajun, like Gambit.
Yep. Yeah, I like the story. I thought it was cool. I thought there were a couple humorous lines, like when Jubilee's running through the mall. By the way, don't get me wrong. I got a few fact checks here. When the parents check in on Jubilee thinking she's asleep in bed, right? When the Sentinel comes and kills her. So that means it's probably pretty late at night, at least 10, right? But she's at the mall playing video games because everybody knows that malls are open at midnight and people are playing video and everybody's out shopping. Like everybody's out shopping. There's all these things happening.
Or just
like,
the fact that there's still a mall in existence.
Yeah, fact check. No, I don't think so there. But the funny part was when Jubilee's running through the mall and she says the quote, she says, "The mall has turned into some creepy for real video game." I thought that was funny.
Okay.
I loved it when she destroyed the game and the guy goes, "Do you have any idea how much that costs?" She just flicks down the sunglasses. A quarter.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's why my generation is the way it is.
See, it's a funny show, you guys.
I wouldn't say funny. It's just more. There's just a lot of action going on. Yeah, there was just like there was always some kind of cool thing happening. So you're interested. You're watching it, and you're like, oh, what's going to happen here? Like, is Cyclops actually going to be a strong character in this show, or?
Yeah,
it's like
he's definitely better. Yeah,
funny for me because you're talking. They're like, look what you did to the VHS tape. It just is becoming funny the more dated it gets.
Yeah.
Like Internet Explorer.
Kind of like how back in the day, I saw this meme where they were showing like clips or still frames of like Teenage Mutant Ninja. Hi, Kitty. Of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and other things. And they're like, back in the 90s, everybody thought you could destroy the world with a floppy disk. And it had all these images of them being like, with this floppy disk, you know, boy, oh boy, this will really take care of business here.
Imagine if that's how the world ended, not with a bang, but with a floppy disk.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's how they get you with that floppy disk.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that you see memes like they talk about how like the icon for save is still just a floppy disk.
Right. That's like somebody said like that they saw their parents' floppy disk and the thing, and they're like, "Whoa! Somebody 3D printed a save icon." That's brilliant. I love it.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So the humor was good. I liked it. I would have thought that like it would have sucked, but I was like, actually, I'm okay with it. It didn't make me roll my eyes. It was fine.
It's for kids. I mean, for kids, it's fine. The humor. So
here's another fact check I've got. If these giant sentinels, presumably many tons, you know, and they're 20 feet tall easily, are stepping on cars and totally obliterating the cars and pounding through, yet nobody anywhere in any home hears them.
Yeah. Like when they were approaching to take Jubilee.
Yes.
Like, how do you not feel that on the Richter scale?
Nobody hears this crunching and smashing and the earth shaking until they bust through your door. Or my favorite one was when this big hulking 40-ton monster is crunching around, right? And Jubilee's walking along and there's one hiding behind a building all passively and secretly. Like it's just like this, like, and then it comes around. I'm like, nobody knows this thing is here. They're like ninjas all of a sudden. Anyway,
yeah, the heck, children's cartoon from the 1990s? Be more realistic. Go back in time and redo the whole thing. Ryan, stop being distracted by your kid.
By my kitty? But she wants to be fed.
Aw.
I'll feed her to Sabretooth.
I'll come and save the cat.
Were there any characters or parts that you guys didn't like?
Yes. Morph.
Yeah.
He was annoying.
Was it his laugh?
Can we just get rid of this guy? Like, why do we have to have this guy with us here?
You didn't build him into the credits. You can kill him off like that. It's easy.
Do they, Ryan? Do they kill him off? He was the worst, yeah.
Well, here's the funny thing. When I watched it and I saw all the opening credits and I saw everybody and I was like, who's that guy? And I started thinking, I was like, who is that guy? Let me think. Can I remember an X-Men from like comic books and trading cards or whatever that changed? And I thought about it while the show was going and it took me a few minutes, but I was like, Morph. I think his name is Morph. But then they ended up saying Morph like later on to confirm that, I believe once or twice.
Yeah.
So maybe he's not a very interesting character, or maybe something happens to him, but clearly he was the only character that was not in the opening theme except for the bad guy, Sabretooth, who didn't even really have any lines anyway, but he will surely feature prominently later, just like Magneto and Tin Can, Juggernaut.
I also think one of the stranger parts for me was when Gambit was flirting with the card store lady. Like, it looked like the writers had never been on a date before.
Maybe they haven't.
It was just
comic
cringy.
Book nerds, yeah.
It was so cringy. It was laughably cringy. That's why it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
It's for kids. The kids don't know how to flirt.
I don't know.
So
I had a fourth grader bring me flowers and very smoothly asked to hold my hand when I was walking to the front office. So,
Hey,
nice moves, kid.
Back in elementary school.
He got that from watching X-Men.
Yes.
That's how you learn.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I think that was probably the worst part. What for me too was they laid it on a little thing. I get it's for a children's cartoon, but like they could have toned it down a bit. They like hit that point like 3 or 4 times. Like, we get it. You guys were good at introducing characters quickly and efficiently. You don't need to have him keep making these lines to remember he's the guy that, oh, that's right. He's the flirting.
That's right. French guys are flirty.
Only him and Pepe Le Pew. And Jacques Cousteau.
Yeah, only every French person in media. Yeah.
Yeah, that is quite a stereotype. Anything you didn't like about it, Michael?
I said Morph.
Oh yeah, just that's it. Just Morph.
Yeah, Morph. He can kick rocks.
He can morph into a dead person.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
What about you?
The pickup stuff,
Gambit stuff,
yeah, and the other part was like the fact checkoids, where I'm like, dude, these Sentinels, man, you got to be consistent. If this thing is shaking the ground outside the house, it needs to also shake the ground inside the house. If it's, like, you got to be consistent. Like, if they walked and they didn't do any of that, we could just imagine maybe they're super light. Okay, fine. Bye, Kitty. Sorry, come back later. She walks away so like dejectedly, like, just, I guess I'll go eat a rat somewhere then.
Oh, gee.
I know, poor thing. She loves him, though.
It's more like, I'm gonna go vomit on your bed. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's a stray cat. It's not his cat. It's like a stray cat that he likes to feed.
It's not even your cat.
No, but she's so pretty. She's a calico, and Anyway, point is, what were we talking about?
Next subject. We talked about it already. We talked about what we didn't like.
Yeah, I thought that was I guess the consistency of it all. I get it. Don't be too hard on cartoons. But if you were to be hard on cartoons, that'd be a couple of things to clean up. What'd you guys think of Professor Xavier and Jean Grey kind of staying behind and like being the people that kind of watch the house when everybody's out doing the dirty work?
Boring.
Well, we didn't learn a whole lot about them in this episode. This one half of the first episode, the first part only. So, by the way, the name of this, did you say this? The Night of the Sentinels, Part 1.
Yep.
So we only watched the first half of this.
Well, no, it's the first episode.
The first episode. This the first part of this 2-part episode. For 2-part opening.
Maybe it's 5-part.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think it is, but
I don't think so either.
But we didn't really learn a whole lot about them. I guess we learned that it's just a 2-part. We learned that Professor Xavier has kind of psychic powers. I don't think we learned anything about Jean Grey except for like what they told us in the theme song thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not. I don't really feel too bad about like, oh, we didn't get to see them in action. I mean, having seen the X-Men movies, I know how badass Professor Xavier and Jean Grey both are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of I would like to see more of them, but this is just they were introducing so many characters in this first episode. They couldn't get to everybody and show us everybody's superpowers, but they showed us a lot. They showed us a lot of people's superpowers. So
I'm glad to know there's hope for them to advance, because for me it was kind of like the principal and the vice principal. Just stay back at the school. All right, kids. Well, don't get yourself killed. Be back by 8.
Yeah.
So
go out on this dangerous adventure, but be careful.
Exactly. Don't get caught.
I like that we all just kind of agree on everything, that the show was great. The characters were great. The writing was good enough.
It's fine, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's we've covered all that. Now we have to get to the important part, which is Meteorologist Katie.
Yay!
It's time to talk about you.
Woohoo!
Wait, you. So, first of all, thank you very much for joining us all the way from Sioux City,
South Dakota,
Iowa, South Dakota,
Nebraska.
It's great. We have a North Sioux City, a Sioux City, and a South Sioux City. So, and I've been to all 3, so it kind of works.
And you're right on the cusp of 3 states, which is really cool. But you are a meteorologist.
Yes, I am.
Have you always wanted to be a meteorologist, like your entire life, I think?
Oh, yeah. Since I was about 4. And that's something you'll find with anyone who is a meteorologist. If you go up to them and ask, when did you know? It's mostly when we're kids. Like mutants get their powers when they're teenagers. Meteorologists get their love for weather when they're babies. Mainly because we aren't afraid of the loud thunderstorms and everything like that. And that's just something unique. And I just started out as a kid, almost in a tornado. That was fun. And then I just kept reading, and then was in another tornado. And then now I'm here. It's like checkpoints.
And now you go try to find another tornado to be in.
Yes. Oh, I'm hoping this spring. We didn't have a single tornado in my area. Iowa, South Dakota, Nebraska. No tornadoes.
Mm.
We
didn't have any in California either.
Or Portland, Oregon either.
So.
Who would have thought?
2020, you suck.
Yeah. That's the one thing about 2020. Everything else went to crap. Tornado season, quiet.
Yeah.
So.
How come there can't be a destructive storm rolling through? Oh, come on, 2020.
Exactly. Ugh, can't have it all. Can't have it all.
So, Katie, you also achieved some kind of viral fame a couple years ago doing a pretty cool video. You want to tell us about that?
Which one is the question?
Whoa, dear. You were dressed in a Star Trek uniform.
Yes, the Star Trek fandom forecast. That's what started it all, really. Because I'm a geek. I'm a meteorologist. I combined the 2 loves and decided to do forecasts for different fandoms. So you had the Star Trek fandom. So I went to Ferenginar. I went to Vulcan. Of course, had to do Earth and Starfleet headquarters. And it was really fun. It was something I just thought, I work in the middle of the night. No one will have to see this. I'll put it up for my own amusement. Sure. Then so many people saw it. And that's how I got to meet you guys and so many great people online, is because they liked what I did. So I've just been keeping that up.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Now, you said which one.
Yeah.
What else is there? I'm aware of another newer one that you just put up recently. Is there one in between those 2?
There's a Star Wars fandom forecast. That was one of my first ones that I ever did. The Star Trek one, I got confident enough to wear a cosplay. The Star Wars one still was in my work dress. But Mark Hamill saw it, and he told me, "Thank you for helping me plan my day." And it was on the day that I was celebrating Thanksgiving with my family, and I dropped my phone and my food because that was the first time someone who actually has a little check mark saw my content.
Wow, yeah.
And it blew my mind. So many Star Wars people.
I remember that story when it was posted. Mark Hamill actually went, and the phone came out of the soup, right?
Yeah, just
with like algae and stuff on it, right? If I remember correctly.
Oh, I wish, because it was a mess. And everyone, of course, was staring, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do.
Wow, that's amazing, though.
There's that one, and then the newest one is Animaniacs.
That one is mind-blowing. That had to be the most preparation you've ever had since H.
It really, it's so difficult to get that song down because, sure, it rhymes, all the nations of the world, but they're all different nations. So starting back in college, I thought I would teach myself how to do that. And probably the 2 or 3 months before I knew I wanted to film this and I could get past the COVID restrictions, I started listening to it on a daily basis. I would be at the store and I'd be listening to it, and my car I'd be listening to it. I got it down, and the extended version, but it probably took a couple of years to get it confidently down.
Wow.
That doesn't even include the graphics, which I all had to make by hand and stitch it together. And it was, I never want to have to make something that extensively dense in content ever again. But it was worth it. It was worth it.
She made, I don't know if you know the song,
I haven't seen it. I know the song, yeah.
See, I didn't know the song. I would just watch the video, and I was like, oh, I'll just watch it for a few seconds to get the gist of it. But I just kept watching. I'm like, how is she still going? How does she know all of this still 45 seconds later and 2 minutes later?
Yeah.
Dude, it's every country of every country in the world. But then she extended it and added the new countries of the world that were not in existence when the Animaniacs song first came out, whenever that was.
I think I've heard that one before too, that extended one.
Ukraine and Estonia, here's Macedonia, New Caledonia, then Eastern Slavonia, Ivory Coast and Cape Verde, Andorra, the Solomon Islands, Dubai. That's just a bit. And it's at that speed. Like Rob Paulson, who sings it as Yakko, is a god.
Wow.
And he actually liked it.
That's to the music of Modern Major General, right?
Oh gosh.
I am the very model of the Modern Major General.
I know that song, yeah.
I don't think so, because it's the United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru.
Oh yeah, no. I'm thinking about the Tom Lehrer did one of the elements.
Oh, there's antimony, arsenic, aluminum, selenium, and hydrogen and oxygen and nitrogen. Yeah, I know that one too. And I know an alternate version of the periodic table and all the states and all their capitals. Can you tell that I didn't have many friends growing up?
Katie's a very smart girl is basically what we're trying to get across here.
Or bored. One of the two.
What's the next thing you can memorize? Let me think. What states, cities, capitals, countries, elements, X-Men? No, but we should definitely include those links in the description box below so people can check out those videos. And they could either be proud of you or feel sorry for you. It's up to them to decide.
Well, and it'll be great because I'm going to be doing a blooper reel here in the next week or so from my fandom forecast. I did one for Hamilton and then the Star Trek and all of that. I'm going to try and edit it all together so you can see me almost fall on my face and at one point go up to the camera and just shake the camera and go, for the love of Spock, I can't do this. And yeah, it's great. This is quality content.
Wow. Pretty awesome.
I would say I'm proud of her. So.
Yeah, me too. Quite an accomplishment. So, everybody check out Katie in the description box below. You can see all of her cool stuff, and you can see her. She might be on the next Survivor. You never know.
Yeah, that fingers crossed. Still not training at all. Still have the flab. We'll see.
But maybe they like that. Maybe that's what they're, looking for in Survivor. Maybe they're like, flabby people are better survivors.
You start having weight classes in Survivor. That would go well.
But it's time to move forward, you guys. This is, the fun. The fun was good, but it's time for the not fun. It's time for heads to roll. It's time to really separate the X-Men from the X-Boys. Thank you.
Bravo.
This is called the bottom line. I like to call it the terrible twos. Just kidding. Mike called it the terrible twos. But this is the bottom line. It's the final 2 questions of the show. And it's really the 2 most important questions in the show.
Trying to get like at the very bottom of my frame. The bottom line.
How would the song for the bottom line go, Katie?
Oh gosh, I not a clue, and you don't want me to sing because I have a horrible voice.
Michael, bottom
the
line.
Bottom line, here it is. Now it's time to hear the bottom line.
See, that was great.
See?
That was quality. It was very in tune.
Mm-hmm.
Bravo.
Now, Michael, do the Animaniacs song.
It's time for Animaniacs.
See, I can do that because I have a high nasally voice that annoys me to no end, so it works perfectly.
All right. So the bottom line, we asked the final 2 questions of the show, and here they are in a particular order. The first one is, on a scale of 1 to 10, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, what would you give X-Men, the animated series, episode 1 of season 1, Night of the Sentinels, part 1, on a scale of 1 to 10?
On a scale of 1 to 10, X-Men, the animated series, I would say you are an 8.
Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. Not good. Not great, but not bad.
Oh, that's good.
It is good.
It's a B. It's a solid B.
Yeah. Meteorologist Katie, capital M, capital K.
Ooh. I would go with a 7.5.
Okay.
Okay.
Solid
C.
That leads me to me. Now, factoring in,
leads us to you.
Am I judging it on the merits of just overall scale of 1 to 10? Am I judging it on the merits of children's cartoons? If we're talking about just children's cartoons, it sure is right up at the top. If we're talking about just things that I want to do with my life, with my time, it's definitely got a time and place. I'm going to give it an 8.8.
All right.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's a B plus.
Yeah. Now, for the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch X-Men, the animated series, episode 1, Night of the Sentinels, part 1.
For some of us like me, my arm was twisted.
Hard. But now, wait, let me make a note of that.
Mike's arm was twisted. Okay.
Oh, I just put our initials. Mike, Katie, Ryan. That's MKR. That's your initials, Michael.
Hey, that is my initials.
Cool.
Yeah, you would know. So now that this podcast is over and you're free to do whatever you want with your life, would you watch the second episode?
Me first?
Yes, you, Michael.
Me first always. I would say I would watch the second. It left us off on a cliffhanger, and I kind of want to know what happens in that place that they broke into, and what happens to the X-Men that are in there.
Yep. I had a feeling you'd get hooked, Mike. You are a superhero lover. Katie, what about you? You had to watch this for the podcast. You didn't have to watch it thrice or whatever you did, but would you watch the second episode?
Oh, yes. I have my Sunday morning cartoons already planned out. And the Monday morning and the Tuesday morning. That's the great thing about working early is you get home and the cartoons are still on.
Yeah, you get home at like 3 in the morning sometime. No, but you got home at like 3 in the morning the other day.
See, that's when it depends on when I'm headed out, when I'm heading in. It all depends on what the weather's doing.
It also depends on what time zone you're in. So.
True. Yes, Central Time. It's amazing.
No, but she really did say that she messaged. She said, I'm just getting home from, or no, just waking up. That's what it was. You're just waking up to do some storm chasing at 3 in the morning or something.
Oh, yeah, it was for the Northern Lights.
Northern Lights, that's right.
It was a bust and I'm mad, but it's fine. Next time.
So that's 2 yeses. Yeah, I'm going to say yes, that I would watch the 3rd episode.
You already watched the 2nd episode? Ryan.
I know. And
Ryan,
it was late last night, and I was
wondering why
you
said Sabretooth, because I didn't see him in the first one.
No, he was in the first one. At the very beginning when they're watching TV, he's like throwing cards around and stuff like that.
The guy with the chain.
And then that's how Jubilee's parents were talking about mutants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he was in it. And, you know, I wasn't going to like sit down and really get into it, but I was like, okay, I've done my homework tonight. It's time to brush my teeth and go to bed. So as I'm like, hey, well, if I'm already going to be brushing my teeth, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to have this thing on for 20 minutes while I brush my teeth, you know?
You brush your teeth for 20 minutes?
See, like 28.
Wait, you don't?
But anyway, so I did watch the 2nd already, and I would watch the 3rd. Whether I end up watching this series, I mean, there's like 5 seasons. Who knows? But this show does deserve to be watched. It does deserve to have that 2nd and 3rd episode seen. They've done, it's a good show. It's solid all around. I think, yes.
So sorry, Ryan, that you were wrong about what I thought about this show.
Well, my initial thought was that you liked it. My initial thought was that you were right around a 7 or an 8, but then I remembered how much you brag about hating superhero stuff. So I was like, well, maybe he's just going to be so stubborn that's going to be like, no, I don't care how good this thing is. It sucks.
All right.
Anyway.
Fooled you.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you're happy with it. You're definitely happier with it than you were with He-Man, that's for sure.
He-Man was fine, but
Everybody that's watching, make sure you let us know what you think of X-Men, the animated series. Scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it? Who are your favorite characters? Who are your favorite bad guys? Who did you hate? Would you watch the entire series again? Who knows? What do you think of Katie?
Yay!
In her NASA sweater. Anyway, that's about it. Make sure if you'd like us to watch and review a series for good or bad, let us know by saying WTF and the series. That's so weird. I said series, not Siri. I can't. That's going to go off on set one day, and I'm going to be so embarrassed. I've got him doing a South African accent. People are going to be like, what's your problem, dude? Anyway. So
watch the first, this show, that show, the other show. Give us a like.
Exactly. What else is there, Michael? Is that it?
Oh, I think we have to talk about this podcast.
Right. So that's it. We are at the end, and I will close out by saying this podcast was a fun.
This podcast was action-packed.
This podcast is something you should definitely watch every Saturday morning.
Nice. This episode, or just like the series?
The entire series. Binge every episode, but only on Saturdays.
Or Wednesday evening, yeah. When it
there you
comes
go,
out.
I like it though, and then rewatch on Saturdays.
Yeah,
There
exactly.
you go.
So Thank you all for joining us. Katie, you are wonderful as always. Good luck out chasing tornadoes and chasing Survivor and trying to be like Storm.
Yes, thank you.
And everybody at home, please like, subscribe, give us your comments, share it with your friends. And, final thought is what Michael Kenyon Rosenberg always likes to say.
Don't forget to watch the first of X-Men and then the second.